So Shukri Conrad and Temba Bavuma have won their first Test series as a, I would say, as a duo because coach and captain. I think that they both have obviously a lot of influence on the regards to the victory, and I love the fact that we could get our first win under Shukri Conrad's leadership, under Temba Bavuma's leadership, and I thought that I'll give you guys a little bit of an earlier show so we can have a little bit of a longer discussion and that we can go a little bit longer than usual and actually go right into everything that has happened after this game. It would have been a little bit rushed after yesterday's game because there was a lot of things that we needed to do from a content perspective. So I've waited a day so that I can give you guys my full attention and go quite deep into everything. I want to react to Shukri Conrad's press conference and Temba Bavuma's press conference. I want to go through my summary of the game and what transpired from my view, being at the Wanderers, etc. And I want to talk about everything that has to do with Test cricket because there is a lot to discuss when it comes to Test cricket from a South African perspective. So there's a lot for us to talk about. There's also contracts that were released that I want to also read to you guys. The national contract players list has been was announced yesterday. I think it was yesterday morning, and we put it up on the website for you guys to also look at. And I'll be going through that as well in that particular press release on the show as well a little bit later to discuss that too. So before we get started, before we get going, there's a couple of things that I would please like you guys to do. That is, first of all, subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, and share. And also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. We are working hard on the next issue that will be coming out over the next couple of days. So please stay tuned to that for that and look at your email so that you get that notification as well. Also, if you want to help us grow and promote South African cricket and you want to help us as well as a company grow, then please become a patron today. It's not a lot of money per month, guys, but we need your help to survive. So please go and click on the link. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Go and become a patron today because that's how we keep everything going. You patrons, thank you so much to the patrons that have signed up and have been contributing since our start of our journey. It's really been helping us keep everything going. I mean, the patron money goes right back into this company again. I don't even take any of that money and put it into my pocket. So it goes straight back into keeping keeping this platform alive, also keeping our website alive, also keeping our magazine going. So thank you a lot to all the patrons that have been involved there too. And we need to obviously get to a certain level where we can be able to create content for you patrons as well as all of our members, to make content for you guys exclusively. At the moment, all my content that I do is live for you guys for free. And we will be giving back to the guys out there that have become patrons to us too. What I would also like you guys to do is to please go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. That's where we update you on news stories, anything that has happened recently. We do our match reports, etc., or match summaries that we from our experiences. We also do exclusive content like exclusive articles, and some of our video content we also post there for your consumption on a daily basis as well. So go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all of that. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to doing this review because it's a lot to get through. So please bear with me and let's have fun together on this particular stream. Let's do this. A very good morning, afternoon, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show and your daily show combined. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket, but particularly we're going to be talking about the West Indies series win and Test cricket in South Africa in general. So let's get started with this particular show. I see a couple of comments in the comment section. We've got Kani saying only KG, Nokia, Janssen, Aiden, Temba have cemented their spots in the 11. Official TV saying I'm happy for Ryan Rickerton. Ruban says Alga has to be retired from international and SA must find new opener for the 2 cycles of the WTC. We've got Jatan saying Kvaira Kohli 100. Official TV saying I'm so happy Yanoman Palan is dropped. I hate this style of play. And then we've got Lorenzo Bailey saying congratulations to Shukri and the Proteas. They made us proud. Yes, it was only the West Indies, but you can only play who's in front of you. So massive, well done. Okay, so let's go first and foremost into the summary of what happened yesterday. So obviously, as we know, the Proteas completed a dominating 284-run win on day 4 of the second test against the West Indies. The Proteas didn't really last long after that spectacular century that I witnessed on day 3. They didn't really last long with regards to day 4 in the first session and were bowled out for 321 early on. Bavuma only added 1 run to his overnight total to finish on 172. They set the win West Indies 391 to win, and general consensus amongst the fans and the media box where I was sitting was that an early game was obviously upon us, that it wouldn't go to day 5, and that it was most likely be over after tea, but we were obviously proven wrong in that regard. The feeling proved to be right as the wicket stumbled, obviously, in the visitors' camp. Only one player in the top 6 managed a double-digit score, Craig Brathwaite, 18, who was dismissed by KG Rabada for the 4th time in this match. This sparked a domino effect as Raymond Rafer was dismissed for a duck when Rabada strangled him down the leg side. I was disappointed with Tag Narain Chandapal. I thought that this would be a series that he would really say, announce himself really to the world. But he became Simon Armour's first victim on the day, and he forced the batter into a defensive stroke but was beaten by the turn. What I noticed is Simon Armour was getting turned with a new ball off the seam from the start when he opened the bowling and with KG Rabada, and he was spectacular. He was finding turn. Particularly on this surface, he's brilliant. We know that he took a hell of a lot of wickets for the Titans at this ground, and he showed why he is such a brilliant player, and he showed why he is seen as such a brilliant player. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just looking up because there's a wasp here. I hope it flies out. Keshav Maharaj, then he cleaned up Ross and Chase for a duck, and Jermaine Blackwood was dismissed by Armour for Armour's second. Then Maharaj took his second, trapping Kyle Mayer's LBW, but it came at a cost though. Whilst he was celebrating after the DRS confirmed the wicket, he seemed to have he ruptured his Achilles. At the time, we didn't know what it was. For me, it seemed like it was Achilles, and it was confirmed later on that is the case. He will be going to surgery. I think it is on the 14th. I think that's what I tweeted out. I did tweet it out to tell you guys what happened with regards to that. I think let's double check what the tweet read. I'll read those tweets out to you quickly. Update was that, where is it? Here we go. No, that's not it. Here we go. Keshav has been taken first was taken to the MRI scan, and then the tweet. Where is the tweet? Here we go. He's completed his has a complete rupture of his left Achilles tendon, and he's due to see a surgeon on Monday, 13th of March. So what's going to happen with that is going to be quite sad, because I think he signed with Middlesex as well. So it's quite sad that he's going to probably have to miss that now, and an opportunity to make some money for himself and to get some test 4-day cricket under his belt. The West Indies were 34 for 6 after 18.5 overs when lunch was called. And then after lunch, Jason Holder added 19 before Gerald Coetzee, who bowled very well, forced an edge into the stumps, and the Windies were reduced to 82 for 7. And then Coetzee steamed in with a beautiful angle delivery, beating De Silva for 34, who was the next top scorer. He beat him for pace and crashed into his off stump, and the West Indies were down 87 for 8, leading 304 to win. And then Alzari Joseph went swinging, and he helped him past the 100-run mark with 2 sixes and a 4. He was quite entertaining to watch the way he was swinging around. But then Gerald Coetzee took the Windies' 9th and his 3rd, with Kemar Roach cutting the ball to the deep third man. And then Harmer wrapped up the opposition in his 3rd, dismissing Joseph to hand SA a 284-run win. So brilliant bowling performance from both Gerald Kutsia, as well as Simon Harmer. So that was the summary of that day. Let's get to some more comments in the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Riley, no contract, harsh. I don't think it's harsh. I mean, he only plays one format for South Africa. It's time for exciting white ball cricket. Update on Maharaj, I've given you now. Is there a replacement for Kesh named yet? I hope it's clear F. As we all know, Shamo will definitely be our frontline spin at the World Cup. So giving Linda a chance will make more sense. Kesh most probably won't go to the World Cup. Lawrence saying get well soon, Kesh. Not nice place to be in. Long road of recovery and will probably miss the World Cup. A ruptured Achilles can keep players up to 6 to 9 months. Yes. Replacement for Keshav name yet? No, there hasn't been a replacement name for Keshav yet. We will update you on what has happened with regards to that. The media manager did say that she would update us on what is happening with regards to his injury. Don't think they are going to replace him in ODI squad. If they do, Shamshi looks likely replacement because of experience. If I was to make a change, I would add Linda, if not Sabrayan. I think it's time for Geoff Linda, in my opinion. Like Dex says over here in the comment section. I do think it's time for him. I think he's been brilliant. I mean, he's been unlucky not to make any Proteas teams in recent times, and I think that he would be the perfect replacement. I mean, he can bat as well, so that would be also another option. I do think that now that the contracted players have been released, I do think that it's someone like Bjorn Fortuin would obviously be, who is now contracted, would probably be the frontline spinner for, if without Kesh being there. And then we need another person in the mix as well. And I think George Linde and Bjorn Fortuin would make a mean combo. So yeah, that's my summary of the game, and I've read some of your comment section out. Let's watch the press conference and let's see what Temba had to say, and then we can watch Shukri's press conference. Obviously, you know how we do this. We're going to listen to it together and react to it together, guys, and we can discuss the points obviously together. Um, let's uh, let's go to Tim. Let's go to Timba's first before we talk about the contracted players. Um, no, this is wrong. I need to do it from your video file. Um, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? That's the wrong one. That is here. Okay, cool. Let's start with Temba because Temba came first, and then the West Indian coach came, and then Shukri came. So I'm going to do it in that order that we watched it live in. By the way, I asked the first question in the Temba press conference. First and foremost, victory as captain. How impressed are you with the boys, and what impressed you the most about this performance from the guys?
Thank you, Khalid.
Look,
obviously a successful series for us as a team. I think obviously our first prize was to win the series, and that's exactly what we've done. And I think there's obviously a lot of positives that we can take from the series. I think to single out a few, I think a guy like Aiden coming back into the team and leading the way with the bat for us as a team, probably I could say he was probably the difference between the batters in this whole series. So it was good to see Aiden again carry on his form in the red ball side. I think a guy like Gerald Kutsia as well, also getting a show within the red ball and showing us what he can do. Obviously, he strengthens that bowling dynamic. He brings that aggression. He brings that intensity and that fighting spirit. And again, I think the bowlers as a unit, they strengthened that perception or tag that they have, that they're quite a formidable bowling attack. And again, it's good for them to kind of carry on with that confidence. I think with the batting, there's good, but I think there's also areas that we can improve on a lot with the bat. I think probably the one thing that stands out is that we spoke about guys putting up match-winning performances with the bat. You know, Aiden did that in the first test. Second test, I was able to do that. So, you know, that's obviously a big positive.
Temba, if you were to look at the way that this World Test Championship cycle has gone, where you're likely to end third and compared to the last one, and you've played with both of them, what can you see has developed in the test side, and what, you mentioned some of the things you think need to improve, but what can happen better next time around?
Yeah, I think Look, I mean, it was only our first series, my first series as the captain. So, I mean, it would be very premature of me to kind of draw any conclusions about us as a team. I think the journey is still it's still a long one for us as a team. So I think over a certain number of matches can we really draw conclusions on us as a team. But like I said, I mean, there's a lot of positives that we can take from the series, and I think it's just a matter of growing with all the good that we've done and to keep improving in areas where we can improve on. I think obviously playing at home, does probably suit us a lot more. Guys are a lot more comfortable to the conditions. The instincts comes more into place. But I think the biggest test is obviously when we travel, and I think that's when we'll get to see what the team is really made out of.
What value do you think you can place?
Good question.
Not only have you captained your team to victory, but you yourself have had a very big part, to play in the second victory, coming off not a great game in the first. And what value does that do for you as a captain who's new in this job?
Yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence. Obviously, like I said, as a leader, you want to be leading from the front with whatever your discipline is. So, I mean, me being a batter, it's always at the top of my mind that I want to score runs. And I want to be able to speak amongst the guys, speak within the changing room with good authority. So, I mean, this test, things went my way in terms of the bat. And I guess, well, not I guess, I mean, my contribution, played a massive role in terms of the victory today.
Congratulations, Temba. You touched on the concerns over the batting, and whenever there's a new leadership in the team, there's often like a new brand, a new direction that is put in place. Apart from you, obviously yesterday, I mean, you were very compact. You seemed to know exactly what you were meant to be doing in terms of your game out there. Do you think the other guys are maybe struggling a bit between trying to be more positive and also the kind of disciplines that you need, that you showed in Test cricket? There are quite a few guys getting out to balls that...
This is a long question. Let me just read some of your reactions while I'm live here. KG needs to perform against the 3 years boy in Australia. I don't know why Sabrina hasn't played for the Proteas. Me neither. That's an interesting one because he is as well an off-spin, I think. I hope some of our batsmen get county cricket gigs, as there is a long time before next test and 4-day games domestically. It's the batting that needs work in the team, and you can't work on it if you're not playing the long format. We'll get into this answer, because Shukri Conrad has actually mentioned this. He spoke about it in his press conference, so we're going to get to that next. What happened to Dean in the India series? He will most likely play, as it will be hard for anyone to start opening with such a hard series. Good that Temba said we can only judge when we travel and play against the top teams. Exactly. I've respected that from him too, that he actually admitted this. This is the next question. It's quite a long question.
Maybe they could have left, I guess.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, that's one of the learnings and conversations that we have to keep having as a batting unit. Obviously, in the past, there have been concerns. There have been questions raised with us as a batting unit. We have obviously been speaking as well in terms of how we want to play. We probably don't have that fully in check yet. And I guess through more conversations that we have, we'll be able to articulate it better, but most importantly, show it out there on the field of play. I think it helps when you have one or two guys who are putting in those match-winning performances. It does kind of buy you a bit of time. It gives the other guys as well within the team a bit of more room to breathe. I think you also have to give a little bit of leeway for guys like Tony, guys like Rickington, who are still, I guess, finding their way at this level. But look, I mean, that conversation with us, amongst us as the batters, we're going to keep having them until we get to a point where we don't have to speak about our brand of cricket. People can see it out there, and people know what to expect when it comes to us.
Temba, there's 9 months now till the next test match. I know it's your decision, guys, maybe Shuk's still involved. What, as a captain, having had these 2 games now, what would you like to see happen in this gap between, this large gap between now and the next test, for your team to assist with the kind of improvements that you want to see them have?
I think we got to keep carrying on the language. We got to keep that through all the other formats. We're fortunate that some of the guys that play, or the core of our team, play in other formats as well. You know, Aiden obviously now been back within the test team. He's leading the T20 side, so I'm sure that language will continue within the T20 stuff. I'll have that opportunity to keep challenging and carrying the guys within the one-day side, and I think that's the only thing really that we can keep going. I think there will be a lot more onus and responsibility on the players again to keep challenging each other to make sure that we are all heading in the same direction. It's unfortunate, Stuart, that we're only playing our next game in December, but I think all we can do as players is to make sure that we keep ourselves in check and make sure that our cricket and the way we're playing is going in the direction that we've all agreed on.
Okay, this is the perfect time for me to bring on Ngama. He's going to be watching the rest of this with me. Welcome to the show, brother. I know that you're busy at hard work trying to figure out what's happening with the FTP, etc. And obviously, Temba answering that question as well. What's your thoughts on what he had to say? Because I like that he said that he mentioned the ODIs as being an opportunity for these guys to still play, you know, especially the top order, maybe the Tony de Zorzis of the world, maybe the Ryan Rickletons, maybe the Heinrich Claessens that didn't maybe show full consistency in this test. I mean, obviously, Tony had one good innings, but those guys will be able to maybe, if they are picked in the ODI teams, will be at least be able to play something that's close to the test arena, I would say, with regards to batting long times at the crease. But what's your thoughts on the FTP and what how Temba answered that question, bro?
Yeah, spot on, bro. And I think Test cricket is quite similar to one-day internationals. I think Temba Bavuma's performance in the Test match also is one example of such. You know, because he carried that ODI form that he showed against England into the Test series as well. You know, so there's a bit of similarities between the two, and hopefully, like, we will see Tony de Zorzi, Heinrich Claessens, Rickleton as well. You know, this coming week, you know. But in terms of the FTP, man, I mean, like, a lot has been said. It's extremely frustrating for Shukri Conrad and Temba Bavuma, because seriously, what are you going to build, you know, with 3 test matches in a year, you know, as compared to teams like England who are playing 8, 9, 10 test matches a year, you know. So extremely disappointing future tour program by the ICC. From a South African point of view, but yeah, man, like, it is what it is. We're just gonna have to, you know, use these one-day internationals as a sort of preparation and just an experience for someone like Tony and Rickleton, you know, as far as international cricket is concerned.
I think we'll get more answers in the Shukri press conference, which we'll watch after this, Ngama. But let me just get into some of the answers in the live chat as well. Let's see where I stopped. Here we go. DT saying, I'm glad that he's seen the perspective about giving the new guys some leeway. Me too. It's a question that I kind of also asked. I think I asked Shukri this question. You see, I can't remember what his answer was. Tabo saying Stubbs getting a contract is daylight robbery. I was a bit shocked that Stubbs did get a contract. Ngama, I don't know what you think about it, because you've watched him closely domestically as well.
Yeah, like there's a 100 that boy scored, you know, against a red hot Lions side that had Sisanda Magala, Luto Sipamla. I mean, those are the champions of the CSA One Day Cup. You know, I mean, it's very clear that CSA is trying to keep these guys in South Africa, keep these guys interested. You know, so it wasn't. I don't see it as a daylight robbery. Sorry, Tabo, man. I see it as a way that CSA is prioritizing that project 2027, because you have to remember what Enoch and Rob Key were saying in that squad announcement, that the main thing for us is to make sure that when we get to host the 50 over World Cup in South Africa, we must have we must get there with a squad that is solid, you know. So I see Rickleton, I see Tristan Stubbs, as well as CSA sort of prioritizing that World Cup, you know, and the future as well. I mean, the kid is extremely talented, Khalid, and he offers a lot, man, that a lot of the batters in the country don't offer, you know, batting at 6 or 7.
At the end of the show, we watch the Shukri press conference, we'll get into the contracts and talk about some of the players that have been contacted, etc. I hope that you can stay that long, Gama, but we're going to do that afterwards.
We're going to start taking the last questions with your eyes.
Temba, just in terms of
this is a long question.
Firstly, just how chuffed were you with Gerald's spell today? I mean, he obviously hunted for wickets, but he bowled at a time where the West Indies probably batted a bit, you know, with more abandon than anything else. But after an expensive start, you know, he came back really well and snagged 3 wickets. So just how have you been impressed by his determination and his execution in the series? And also, are you also very excited about the next cycle in the World Test Championships in terms of your attack? Because we've seen over the past 2 years that you guys have really developed a very potent group.
It's like a monologue.
None of them actually are really that old in the end. I mean, I know Rokia's the oldest and he's 29. So you have like a core group in their prime, and now you also have a guy like Marku and Gerald who are young and emerging. So are you excited for that future?
Very exciting. I'm very excited. I think our bowling attack has always been one that has the potential to keep us in games. You know, like I was saying, with the batting there have been concerns, but our bowling, we know that, you know, when those guys click, we always have a chance within the game. A guy like Jared, obviously, he adds that extra dimension within our bowling attack. He brings that pace, he brings that aggression, and that's exactly why we brought him into the squad. I think not to forget a guy like Lungi as well. I think Lungi has done very well at this level. So, I mean, for me at least, as long as I still captain Lungi, doesn't move out of the conversation. He still plays a massive part for us within the test team and all the other formats. But I think it's a good place to be in terms of the decision makers, the coach, myself, where we have, I guess, a plethora of quality fast bowlers, quality skill bowlers that we can call upon. Looking ahead in terms of the next test cycle, I think there's a couple of subcontinent tours, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess the dynamic will change there, but we'll see when that comes about. But I think at the moment I'm very excited as a captain.
We'll just wrap up the English component. Can you
there's going to be a Kosa question that's going to be asked by Kaniso. If you can just help us like dissect that and give us like a translation of what was said, if that's cool.
Definitely.
Awesome. Because I think there was something very important you asked that we didn't know about, so that would be lekker for you to do so.
Yeah, that's Kaniso, I know him.
Just another question following up on the large gap between this series and the next one against India. In terms of momentum and you're a batsman, you know, what effect this has on batters who need time out in the crease, this big gap there?
Yeah, I think those are the challenges, I guess, that we're gonna have to face. Like I said, fortunately, there's guys who play other formats as well. So from a match time point of view, they'll get opportunity there. Guys also have the opportunity to play in other leagues. I'm sure there'll be opportunities at county level. The T20 boys, they'll go and play at the IPL and all those other leagues. So at least guys will be getting some form of cricket. Us as a unit, that's obviously not something that we can control. Maybe we might have camps in between now until December where the Red Bull guys get together, a couple of games of being played with each other. I do know there's also an A tour to, I think, the West Indies. So, you know, maybe the guys who don't have any cricket might catch that tour. So, yeah, we can only do with what we have.
Okay, so before we get into that closer question, DT hit it on the nail on the head. I'm excited about the prospect of having a team with an average of age of 25 or 24. It gives us the chance to rebuild or to build and implement the succession plans. Ungama, me and you have had conversations about this for years, about how to integrate youngsters into the team, what time is the correct time. By the time I feel that with this current squad being the age that they are, by the time we reach the second cycle when we're going to start bringing in new youngsters, the current youngsters are going to be experienced and they would have faced a lot of challenges. They would have faced maybe had some losses, maybe some wins, and they would have learned a lot about their games and be able to pass that knowledge on to the next generation. So I think we're kind of going in the right direction. What's your thoughts on that particular comment?
Yeah, and spot on, Khalid. I mean, I can only imagine how Tony Dizoz's career is gonna go. You know, having seen Aiden Markram score a century, having been at the wicket at the time where Aiden Markram was reaching his century, and also watching Temba Bavuma as well, scoring that big ton. You know, so those things they go a long way, Khalid. You know, in terms of showing these guys what is required at test level. You know, whereas in the recent past, a lot of the senior batters didn't, necessarily show the youngsters how it's done. You know, as far as test match batting is concerned. So it's a very good space to be in. You know, it's an extremely good space to be in. I mean, like with the conversation with Gerald and also being young and stuff. You know, it's like I feel like the bowlers are so spoiled with the fact that KG is there, because KG is he always shows these guys, you know, with examples in the field, you know, taking fifers and standing up for the team. So it was very good to see Temba and Aiden sort of show these other guys, you know, what is required from them as far as test match cricket is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let's move on to that closer question. Okay, Ugama, you're gonna take it over.
Hayi, masikhulule ngemphumelelo namhlanje. Amasibuzo ozolumbuza ubona ngizabuza kuyo. Contract nje usibeke imali ukhe wahamba kwasengqondweni njengoba we-Australia kwenyaphile ezingama-kakhizini uzofikelela kweli nqanaba ngokuba umkhokheli uphumelele ubethe nemitsi.
Australia ngathi into yenzeke kudala. Xa sendithetha inyani into yenzeke e-Australia. Phofu xa sendicinga xa sithi Australia uthetha nge-World Cup kum igqithile. Zizinto ke yinto eyenzekileyo. Andisabambelanga kuyo. Sendilapha ngoku ingqondo yami kwenye indawo ndijonge ezinye izinto. Ndiyavuya ke uba iqela lam lidlale ngeli hlobo elidlale ngayo likwazi uphumelela. Yeah.
Okay, Ngama.
Yeah, and is Kanyiso is asking about how Temba has dealt with the T20 World Cup in Australia. You know, but he wasn't only talking about that. He was also talking about the Test series. You know, and then Temba is replying saying that he's moved on. He's moved on from that World Cup. He's focused on the now and on leading this Test side, on the responsibility that he has, and obviously looking at the ODI side as well. There's a big responsibility that he has, looking into the World Cup that's gonna be in India later on this year. You know, so good things, man, from Temba. You have. What happened in that T20 World Cup. I mean, he's not even part of the T20 squad that's going to play against the West Indies. So what's the point of, staying in that negative zone? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's very good signs from Temba that he's clearly moved on from this.
Yeah, it's crazy that he asked that question, because he asked this question in the previous press conference in Turin as well. We asked about the trauma. And Temba actually answered quite funnily, saying that nobody died. So
I remember that.
I thought it was hilarious, the answer. Okay, there's another question over here, Grandma.
Awuthilekisa ke nala series le-April okanye i-Australia uzotsho apha njengoba kunotshintsho olunintsi. Ithathe ntoni kwalidlalo okanye i-Australia ezasifundo nazalo le mpumelelo yeziveki ezimithaqathi kuzo?
La midlalo yethu yase-Australia bekunzima kakhulu. Sonke singabadlali esi-under pressure kakhulu, kodwa ke ndingathi ke sifundile, nam ke zikhona izinto endizifundileyo. Ndithe ndobuya eAustralia ndahlala phantsi ndajonga kumdlalo wam apho khona ndingalungisa khona. Ndazama ke ukulungisa apho nalapho. Ndathemba nani nibonile phaa kulaa series bendidlala kuyo, kulaa one day England, nalapha ke kule format le ye-test cricket. Kodwa ke iqakamba, icricket yinto ke uhlala ufunda suku nasuku, suku likhona into oyifundayo entsha.
Great, thank you very much. Please hold on for
Cool. So that last one, Ngama. You just wait for Ngama to come back. Tabo over here saying lack of test cricket is going to hurt us more than some people think. Australia, England and India are going to get stronger while we continue to get weaker. That is true. We need to figure out a way on how we're going to do that. Ngama, are you back yet? Okay, he's not here yet. So let's move on to the next. Okay, we lost Ngama. Let's move on to the next video, and that is Shukri Conrad's press conference. If there's anybody in the live chat that can maybe tell us what that was said in that would be awesome. Let's go into Shukri Conrad's
As test coach, and what was the most fun part of it?
Yeah, winning is always fun. But yes, I did enjoy it. It was great being able to see how guys react, how guys respond, and the little bit of growth that I felt has happened already. So that was really rewarding from a cricket point of view, and then also just to see smiles on people's faces and a happy change room. I think that's the real fun part for me.
Yeah, yesterday Temba spoke about feeling really backed by you and perhaps not having felt that for some time, and now you're speaking about smiles on faces. Can you describe the state of mind when you took over, and what changed, and what did you have to do to get them to have fun?
Yeah, so look, it's no secret where the side has come from. Australia was really dark, I think, and then also we had to deal with, and I say we because we spoke honestly and candidly about Dean's no longer being the captain, and I felt that's the only way one moves on, you know, when you do speak openly and candidly and honestly, and I think Dean also appreciated that. And then obviously for Temba to step up the way he has, we've also got some key guys in that change room that perform leadership roles without being at the forefront of team conversations and that. So yeah, I really think that the fundamentals and the cornerstones are there for this team to grow from a culture point of view.
That's 100% something that I liked to hear. I was sitting in the front row there listening, and I was smiling listening to that, because there's been a hectic culture issue in the South African camp for a while. You've seen with Faf du Plessis' book, he mentioned it. We could start to see it with regards to the World Cup, when you heard that Boucher saying at the final, after the final game, that the team energy levels were low, etc. It did seem like there was a culture issue within this camp. And watching Vian Mulder celebrate like that with Temba Bavuma when he got his 100, it brought tears to my eyes in a way. To see that this team is coming together and fighting for each other, and that there's a spirit in the camp that way, is very important. And I feel that Shukri is on the right path to rebuilding this culture once again. So let's see how this develops. And let's see what happens with regards to this team, if he can build a culture that is a winning culture, but also an inclusive culture. Let's move on.
Okay.
Shukri, speaking about Temba, you've probably seen a lot of great innings here at the Wanderers. I think it's easy to forget now, having won about 284 runs, what the situation was, say, at lunchtime yesterday. Just how do you rate that knock by Temba, and how delighted are you for him coming off a pair, which was discussed, and obviously he's always under a lot of pressure?
Yeah, he's always under a lot of pressure for no good reason sometimes. But I think yesterday's knock was monumental in so many respects. The series was on a knife edge. The West Indies, as they have done throughout the series, seemed to find a way of clawing themselves back into the match. We, on the other hand, often found ways of allowing them back in the game. So when you walked in yesterday and 8 for 2 and then a couple more wickets fell, it was really someone need to stand up and move the series and the momentum of the game in our favour and ultimately the series as well. And it was Temba. It's a language we use about playing match-defining innings and spells with the ball, and that was both match and series-defining. I think every single body inside there is like so thrilled for him. There wasn't a coach that wasn't happy, and I think I have to commend Mackie for the work that he's put in as well, and all the other coaching staff. But yeah, that was a hell of a knock yesterday against, I must admit, a really skilled bowling unit. I think some people make light of this West Indies side, but they are a really skilled bowling unit, especially their quicks. They've got obviously not all the quicks that they had in years gone by, but when you look at Holder and Kemar Roach, even Myers, like they're highly skilled bowlers. So that was technically a fantastic knock. And then also, obviously, in terms of defining the series, massive.
Yeah, and he forgot to mention Azari Joseph as well, bowling at 145, 150 at some points. He's right. The knock was special. I mean, I watched it. I thought we were going to collapse and actually end up losing this game, but he stepped up as a captain, even with wickets falling around him, and he put on a performance like that. He also took majority of the responsibility in the middle. That was also very important. And also, he also lifted Vian Mulder's spirits, kept Vian Mulder focused. Um, who is the test batting coach hasn't been announced yet. They are currently having discussions with people on with different coaches, and none of it's been confirmed quite yet. They are trying to discuss it because it is quite a taxing job, especially with the batting coaches that they are going to speak to. Perhaps some of them have families, kids, etc., maybe even side businesses, and it takes a lot out of your day, at your time, and out of your year ultimately when you become the batting coach of South Africa. So you need to be able to give up some things and sacrifice for this particular role. Neil Mackey is the batting lead, so that means that whenever the batting consultant or batting coach who's appointed isn't available, Neil will step in. Also, when players want some personal training and personal assistance, extra assistance, then he will step in. I mean, I'll give you my names, Sadiq. You're asking for a few names. I'll give you my names who I think should be. I mean, one of them definitely on my radar would be someone like Ashel Prince. I think that with this, as a batting coach, and not maybe a senior coach, but as a batting coach, I think that he can give some brilliant insight, and he will also be able to teach these players how to toughen up. I think another person maybe that should be on the radar is I would go overseas and maybe look overseas. I would like someone like a Sakakara, maybe someone like that to come in. I don't know all the names that they are speaking to with regards to the batting line coaches. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who else they've been speaking to. I think Gary Kirsten is maybe too big of a name to bring into this position. So I wouldn't go with someone like him, perhaps, because I don't think he's more of a senior role. I know he has helped some players with regards to extra help in their in their off seasons and etc. to try and help them. I'd have to look at the short list and put them together to give you some names. But for me, I would try my best to try and get someone like Ashel Prince in the mix. Me personally. Likle saying he would like A.B. de Villiers. That could be another. Hashim Amla is also another one that I think would be a person that could, now that he's had some consulting gigs around the world, he could also be a nice person to bring in, maybe teach these players how to calm down. And also he understands that what it takes to leave the game after you get in your debut, work on your technique, and come back. So that's also another option I feel that maybe could be looked at. Okay, let's continue.
We're going to go Talbot, Hines, and Cardi.
Shukri, we saw the way that Björn Mulder reacted to Temba reaching his 100 yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it sort of gave, certainly, I think, us an inkling of the regard that Temba is held in the dressing room. It must be a wonderfully good and important thing for a captain who's new in the job to put up a performance like that in the second game.
Yeah, thankfully the cameras weren't on the on the coach's room, because there'd have been like a few other wild scenes they'd have picked up. But yeah, look, Temba's held in such high esteem, and even some of the comments in our post-day review, guys stood up and lauded him for where he's come from, all the stick he gets unnecessarily so, and for him to come out and play like that, and having just assumed the mantle of captain as well, that speaks volumes for the character of the person and the ownership that he's taken of the side, together with some of the other leaders in the group.
If I could just quickly follow up, you're only as good as your last game or your next game. So how does he keep that gravitas? I mean, even as a team, do you want to bottle this feeling and take it with you?
Well, we've got a 9-month period to bottle it. Hopefully it doesn't expire before then. But yeah, look, it's great. I mean, we're not going to talk about our few test matches we play. It's really for us to, like I said the other day, find novel ways of keeping the growth going, especially with some of our younger players. But I think Temba and the rest of the guys will remember both that knock, that feeling, the way we were today. I thought we were very clinical today in terms of how we went about our business. And yeah, hopefully when we reappear in a few months' time from our hibernation, we can continue that.
Yeah, I would like to hear a little bit more from Shukri about the way he speaks to players and discusses things with them. But I don't think we'll get that in a press conference. I'm hoping that I'll get to have a conversation with him at some point, or a catch up with him, maybe on the show, etc., where we can actually discuss that a little bit more. Yeah, that would be excellent to understand that, because I like to know what coaches do behind the scenes, or what type of conversations they have with players to try and motivate them when a player goes through a difficult period or make mistakes, how they talk to them or try to get them back on track. That's the type of information I like to know. I don't know if you guys also do, but that's the type of information I like to know.
Sure, I suppose.
And that was also my intention with the question in the last press conference before this test. My intention was 100% to ask, to try and get into Shukri's mind on what type of conversation you have with the player when he goes through what Temba went through. I mean, we can't deny that pair would have hurt him as a player, and he would have been very disappointed with himself, and he would have felt a bit low. And as a captain, letting his team down in that way. I understand that batsmen do get pairs, but it would be interesting to know what coaches do and what sort of conversations they have with players when they do go through a difficult spell like that. And that's actually what I wanted to know, because you guys all know that my intention is never to target Temba. I'm not that one of the people that do that. I mean, I constantly defend certain reactions towards him, particularly when they go a little bit offside. Criticize players for their performances, yes, but I always try and stand up for him when he gets criticized for non-cricket related things. So my intention was never to put it to Shukri in that way, even though he might have interpreted it that way from his response to me. But yeah, it would be nice to actually know that, what goes through their mind. Shukri just seems like he's level-headed and honest coach, and perfect to take a diverse team forward. From what I'm hearing, it seems he really helped Temba's mindset to really rise above the criticism, and I think so too. And I would have liked to hear him say that.
I asked this question partly because the quote sticks in my head, but are you happy you unleashed Gerald Coetzee in this series? Just particularly in the context of this morning, we've seen his skill on show throughout the series, but today showed like spirit, in recovering from a chastening start, even though it was a bit gay abandon the guys batted with, but to come back, from conceding almost 8 and over to taking 3 for 77, are you happy?
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I always knew that at some stage we had to, let's keep coining that phrase, unleash, Gerald. But also just the way he took on the mantle of being the leading quick with KG. He was at Centurion, he bowled behind KG and Anna and Marco, so it was probably an easier role. But the way he stepped up here, and if you chat to him after the game, he was like really disappointed in his performance. He felt he was better than that. And look, if that's how a young man's going to react, then I think we're onto something good there.
Definitely.
Shukri, like you mentioned, it's going to obviously be a long period now when you guys have no test cricket. But the guys that have now gotten momentum, like for example, Tony D'Souza, how are you going to help them keep that momentum until India? Are you planning on sending them maybe to the SA tours, etc. that are planned?
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get confirmation of that pretty soon. And then obviously guys like Tony and maybe one or two others, if and when those tours happen, they'll definitely be on those tours. Hopefully they'll get a spell in the UK as well. And like I said, because we find ourselves in such a unique situation, we've got to come up with some novel ways of ensuring that the guys get better and get accustomed to pressured environments. So we're going to have to put our thinking caps on. I'll take a couple of days off and post a braai or two. I'll put that thinking cap on and make sure that we get stuck in properly in the winter.
That's brilliant to know that in the winter, that is his aim. So whether that will happen or not is something that we need to see it unfold. But it's good to know that the SIA tour. The only worry I have about that is that maybe some guys that maybe deserve to be in the SIA tour might lose their opportunity this time around because Proteas players will be playing there to keep them fit, to keep them focused, to keep them on track. So that's the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about.
Shuks, the one-day match, in charge of that, but you gone well with the boys in green and now the boys in white team. Can you miss it not being with the boys, and do you have any influence on Rob and how he goes about his business?
Okay, yeah, I'm a bit of a sounding board for Rob. I mean, you would have seen Rob in and out the change room there throughout the last couple of days, and we've got a great relationship like that. He relies a little bit on my experience. I mean, we're not going to say old, so and yeah, so there's a constant change of ideas. Whether I miss it, no, I've got to say no, because it's not my gig. But it'll be great to watch that team grow as well, because I think we've got the makings of a really good one-day side there.
And just to follow up, from the outset it was about positive intent and trying to play positive branding cricket. How far do you think, despite the series, how far you...
Here's that question about the positive intent, Sadiq, that you want to know about earlier.
How close are you to playing the branding cricket that you want to play?
On the bowling front, I think we achieved a lot. Playing our 4 quicks at Centurion and the way they went about their business. Yeah, it was always a bit of a talking point with playing the 2 spinners, and I must add, the one downside today is Keshav's injury. And I thought we always felt they were going to come into their own in the last inning. So from a bowling front, great. Look, from a batting side, there's a lot of and I think I need to make this point. We don't have the Graham Smiths and the Hashim Amlas and the A.B. de Villiers and the Jacques Callises in this unit. So we've got to find different ways of skinning this cat, and it's great that we've got 2 Centurions in this series. We passed 300 a few times, which hasn't happened in the recent past. And like I say, against a skilled bowling unit like the West Indies. Conditions probably didn't allow, and then also our inexperience, but the growth is there. I think once we settle as well, because as players, they also to expect them to go out and do things a certain way with they're not being sure what's coming next, because we changed the team a couple of times, so they always felt that maybe the spotlight was on them and they were under the microscope. But I'm happy with the growth. I'm happy that those boxes that have been ticked, like I spoke about, milestones, is still a big thing for us. And hopefully in a couple of months' time, we'll see more growth.
Okay, so Sadiq saying I like it when he said it's not his gated limited over setup. They should overlap. Shouldn't overlap each other. Now there is a little clip that I'm going to play with for you guys. I hope I can share it while this one is being shared. Where Rob speaks about Shukri and his experience with Shukri. Let me see where it is. Is it this one? No. Where is it? I don't actually have it, guys. I will have to play it for you guys when I do the review of that particular placer. He does speak about them having a very good relationship. He does speak about the fact that they have similar mindsets and a similar way they want to play the game. And now Shukri has confirmed that he's a bit of a sounding board for Rob. So Rob will go to him with certain questions and they'll discuss things and he'll give his opinion, which is nice. I like that. I like that Shukri's not he's still involved in the whiteboard format too, because he's very smart and very knowledgeable on that format as those formats as well.
Shukri spoke to the West Indies coach about sort of like how he keeps the names interested in Test cricket, and obviously the contract list was announced today. There's some like red ball only guys. What are your concerns, if any, about the fact that there's a big break, lots of leagues? Do you still sense that people are very passionate about the Test cricket?
Without a shadow of a doubt, I can say categorically and emphatically that the boys want to play Test cricket, every single one of them. And I think we've just got to be very smart in the way we do things. We had our meetings with all these players prior to the contract list being announced, and it's come out, every single one of them is they want to play more Test cricket, and they're committing themselves to playing Test cricket. And then obviously we've just got to allow them and manage them properly through all the leagues, make sure, and that's why when players get rested, a bit like it was done in this Test match and in years gone by, I think we rested super fast bowlers then already to ensure longevity. So yeah, we've got to take all of those things into account to ensure that the players and their well-being is uppermost.
I'm going to take one on work and Stu to wrap up. Stu, your guest, then to wrap up Kaniso.
Coach, obviously a great feeling to win your Test series here at home. Over the two matches, we've actually seen some great performances, but we've also seen some moments of real concern. At any point, are you worried a bit about the stability of the batting unit?
No, I'm not. And that, you might be saying, well, based on what do you give an answer like that? I think I'm a lot wiser now than I was a couple of weeks ago in terms of how we want to go forward and whom we want to go forward with. We also realize that there's work that needs to be done, and I think we're going to have some really good people to work with these guys. So come our next Test series, we'll find a stable unit. We'll find a unit that security is probably not a word that one uses often, but we will create an environment where they know that they've been given opportunities to thrive. And yes, I'm very comfortable where we're at the minute. Really comfortable.
That's interesting to hear, and I'm happy that he said that too, because he acknowledges he acknowledges things. It's hard to hear the questions in these press conferences. Well, I can't do anything about that. I've seen you complain about it before. There's nothing I can do about that. That's the way it is. I don't edit them. I don't record them. CSA does it for us and releases it to us. They do have mics, and they are speaking into the mics, and there are speakers in the room. I'm sorry, you'll just have to put up your audio so that you can hear them, and then put them down when they speak. I'm sorry for that inconvenience, but there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried to actually edit the videos and individually and try to make the sound louder, but it was horrible the way it sounded. There was a lot of scratchiness and everything around it, and I couldn't do that. So I'm sorry about that.
Just talk us through the happiness.
They did ask him about Klassen in the previous game, in the previous press conference. I think that's why they didn't ask him again.
That you have with the Spurs and also the uncle has slight concern, but the real concern of Keshav's injury.
Sorry, I didn't hear the full question, Kaniso.
Just talk us through the happiness that you saw from the Spinners' performance, especially in the second innings, and the concern with Keshav's injury.
Let's deal with the second one first. Yeah, Keshav injury was probably the one downside to today. It was look, he's undergone an MRI scan. We're obviously waiting the findings of that, but it doesn't look good at first glance. So we'll just have to wait for that. I thought it would spin more, but we soon realized that it was a new ball wicket. It was a new ball for both the spinners and the quicks, because when that ball got softer, very little happened. So it was always the plan that in the second dig we were going to give Simon the new ball and attack with KG and Gerald for a short burst from the one end, and then Keshav to follow. So yeah, and those are, I mean, some of the nuances that you've got to pick up as the game unfolds, and you've got to be alert to that. The conditions change, but it was definitely a new ball wicket, and so when the conditions were in their favour with the new ball and the wicket, our spinners performed brilliantly. You saw both Simon and Kesh operate just before lunch, so I'm really happy with where that is. But there's always room for growth as well in both the players themselves and the spin pool as a unit.
Great, thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, that's that, guys. Is Lungingiri out of his plans? No, he is not. There was a conversation asked at the beginning about that, and he did answer in one of the other press conferences that he did. Ngiri is not out of his plans. He just felt that in this particular series that he needed the bowlers that he picked. Appreciate the sound levels are not your fault, Khalid, and this problem is down to CSA. Yes, it is down to them. I'm sorry about that. I've tried to also edit them for you. It takes a hell of a lot of time for me to actually go and do that. And I tried to do it once and it just didn't work out. So I'm going to have to display them as it is. It also decreases the value over there as well. I hope we see Mitch Van Buren, Joshua Richards, and Herman in the A squad. That would be great as well. So let's go into the next part of the show, and that is the contracted players. I've got the article here with me, and I'll read it to you guys as well. Cricket South Africa have announced the Proteas men contracted squad for the 2023-24 season starting the 1st of May. Over the next 12 months, the Proteas are set to face Australia at home ahead of the ICC Men's World Cup in India. South Africa will then host India for a bilateral tour before finishing the season with an away tour to New Zealand. The total number of national contracts has increased for 16 to 20, with Tafabet Warriors, Marco Jansen and Tristan Stubbs, DP World Lions, Bjorn Fortuin, Sisanda Magala and Ryan Rickerton all being rewarded contracts for the first time. Heinrich Klaasen earned a contract upgrade during the course of the past season and has been retained for the upcoming season, while Wayne Parnell makes his return to the contracted squad. Chief Executive Officer Poletsi Moseke commented, "We are really excited by the mix of experience and young players that have been contracted this season as we continue to build a world-class outfit under the leadership of Red and White Ball head coaches Shukri Conrad and Ralph Walter." Director of Cricket Enoch Nkwe added, "The number of contracted players has increased from 16 to 20 this season to ensure..." What was that now? To ensure that the wider pool of white ball specialists and test players. We look forward to seeing some of the complete at the highest level and highest level in what is important the next 12 months for the limited overs and test sides, with the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup taking place later this year, as well as the start of the new World Test Championship cycle. So the men's contracted squad is as follows: Temba Bavuma, Quentin de Kock, Dean Alga, Bjorn Fortuin, Reza Hendricks, Heinrich Klaasen, Marco Jansen, Sisanda Magala, Keshav Maharaj, Aiden Markram, David Miller, Lungi Ngidi, Andrich Nokia, Wayne Parnell, Keegan Peterson, Kagiso Rabada, Ryan Rickelton, Tabray Shamsi, Tristan Stubbs, and Rassie van der Dussen. So that's the contracted players. Interesting to see Calverena. You know, I'm so sad that his career has gone this way, and I hope that he would be able to revive it and see him back into the sides again. It would be interesting to see. I remember Temba saying that there is unwritten policy of player returning back to the team if he was dropped due to injury. Then why is RVD person back in the T20? How do you think they will perform in the next match? which match, the test match or in the next ODI match. In the next matches, I think they'll be pretty decent. I think under Rob Walter, they're in good hands, and I think that they had a good series against England, which they are coming off confidence as well. What is the difference between the contracted and non-contracted players? The non-contracted players are then back on the payroll when it comes to their franchises, so they get paid differently. I think they get paid per game and appearances if they're not contracted. And when they go back to their franchises, they are on contracts. They're on franchise contracts, so the franchises are responsible for the amount of money they make. Then, with regards to when the Proteas players, they are not on the payroll of the domestic teams. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will be doing a full preview of the ODIs and white ball stuff, including going into the press conferences that was Rob Walter had. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell, please, for all future videos. I see 40% of you that are watching the videos are not subscribing, so please subscribe to the channel. Also, smash the like button, comment, and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all the regular updates. Download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And become a patron today to help us grow and promote South African cricket and help Cricket Fanatics magazine grow. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all the action pieces, reviews, previews, match reports, features, etc., and exclusive content. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for your daily Cricket Fanatics content. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon for another daily show. Peace out, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening.